Well, ChatGPT 5, it can be so frustrating. And let me share with you the reason why, but also how we can fix it. You see, ChatGPT 5 came out in early August of 2025, and there has been a lot of complaints. A lot of people are not happy with it. I found it sometimes mixed, sometimes it's brilliant, sometimes less so. And then I figured out why. And one of the things that we now know is that we have to make sure we're using the right techniques we learned from prompt engineering. I'm going to share with you in this video some really simple tips that we can use, and we're going to make it really practical. We're going to dive into ChatGPT. I'm going to show you some simple things that we can do to get better outputs from ChatGPT 5. Now, why is it so frustrating? Well, one of the things they did is they really consolidated the models. So as you may remember, we did have a whole bunch of different models. We had, and it got really confusing after a while. We had ChatGPT 4.0, then they brought out GPT 4.1, then 4.5, 4.1 mini. And then we had our deep reasoning models like O4 Mini, like O3, and then we had O3 Pro if you're on the Pro plan. And what they did is, because some people are getting confused as to, well, which model do we use? And so what essentially ChatGPT 5 has done is it's consolidated. And so the likes of GPT 4.0, 4.1, 4.5 is now just GPT 5. And then our deep thinking O3 model is now our GPT-5 thinking. And the O3 Pro model is our GPT-5 Pro, which you get access to if you have the Pro plan. So in some respects, it's really simplified things because we really just have a couple of models. Now, because of all of the frustrations people were having, they keep evolving it and changing it, and they did make a couple of changes. Originally, GPT-5, it chose whether to use the thinking model or not. Now we've got an element of choice there, and also they then decide to allow people to turn on a switch in their settings to get access to the old legacy models. So if you do like 4.0, for example, you can at the moment carry on using that, and many people in my community are doing that. I was for a while, until I figured out how to get better results from ChatGPT 5. So it uses this router within the programming to determine behind the scenes which model is the best one to use. Should it use the quick one or the equivalent of 4.0, or should it use more deep thinking? So it makes this decision. But it also, we now know from OpenAI that this router not only determines the model, but it also determines the level of reasoning required. Is it low, medium, or high? And also the level of verbosity, the length of the output we want. And again, we can control that ourselves. Now we know that that's what it does, but it does it automatically behind the scenes through this router. It chooses the model, the reasoning levels, and the verbosity. But we can grab back some control. So I want to share with you some of the tips that we can use to do exactly that. And so firstly, we can use various trigger words. And one of the things that they have done is, and let me just pull it up, they've written a blog post on how to get more out of ChatGPT 5. Let me just show you that very quickly. It looks like this. And I will put a link to this in the description below if you decide you want to read it. It does get a bit technical, so I've decoded some of it and given you what I think is the most useful stuff for most people's uses. So we can use trigger words. We can tell it in our prompt if we want it to think more through the problem. We can specify phrases like think deeply, or be extremely thorough, or double check your work. These are things that we can append to the end of our prompts, and that will ensure it does do a bit more thinking to give us better results. If that's what we want it to do, if it's a more complex task, then we should specify that. They also talk about why words are really important, why words matter. And we've always said in prompt engineering that one of the keys is specificity. And so we need to make sure that we avoid any ambiguity, any contradictions in our prompt, any vagueness. In fact, OpenAI in that article, they say very specifically, however, its careful instruction following behavior means that poorly constructed prompts containing contradictory or vague instructions can be more damaging to GPT-5 than to other models. So with the previous models like 4.0, it was more forgiving if we did poor prompting, if we had some contradictions in our prompt, if it wasn't clear, if it was vague, then the models could get around that. With GPT-5, it actually gives a worse result. And so that means we have to be careful in the way that we construct our prompts. We need to make sure they are really, really clear. And so the specific things that we can use, specific tips, is we should make sure our prompts are structured. Create a structure to them. I'm going to go into a prompt in a short while and show you exactly what I mean by that. It also specifies that we should use tools like XML and Markdown. These help to create clarity within the prompt. Again, I will show you in a second. We can also ask ChatGPT to improve the prompt. It's very good at doing that. And we can build in self-reflection processes. Ask it to think about how it could improve the output. Again, example coming up very, very soon. So really, in a nutshell, prompting instructions, the way that we craft our prompts, are more important, and particularly with minimal reasoning. With the version of GPT-5 where when it gives a quick answer, sometimes it's not as good an answer because we need it to think harder. And so let me give you an analogy to help. If, let's say, you're working with a friend on a project and your friend is in deep reasoning mode, then when he sets off with the project, then first of all, he's going to think for 10 minutes first, at least, to think through how he's going to tackle the project. But if he was in minimal reasoning mode, then he's going to think for just 30 seconds. And so what we would want to do with our friend is, when he's thinking through this project, ask him to say out loud, what is the plan? What's the plan for this project? And then also to remind them step by step as they check off the steps, as they work through the steps in the project. Otherwise, there's a danger that he might stop. And make sure that we give our friend clear instructions on the project. And really that's the same with ChatGPT and with GPT-5 specifically. We need to make sure that we get it to think through its plan and also to make sure it doesn't stop. It keeps going until it's finished off each step in the prompt, and also make sure clear instructions. So let's go and do a practical example here. And then I'm going to share my top tip. What is my top tip with getting the best out of ChatGPT? So what I'm going to do is we're going to look at a prompt. I'm going to look at, if I just go across to here, I've got two prompts. I know they're quite small on the screen right now, don't worry. I had a prompt that I was using very satisfactorily for taking a transcription and improving that transcription by tidying it up. And the prompt is, my original prompt I was using prior to GPT-5 is on the left-hand side. It was quite a thorough prompt. I would give it a transcription and I wanted it to tidy it up. I wanted it to do things like maintain the original word choice. I want it to eliminate repetitions, because very often when we speak live, we sometimes repeat things unnecessarily. Then there's those filler words. I want it to identify and remove them. And so this was my prompt, and it did a pretty good job of transcribing things. But I noticed that when we then got GPT-5, the results weren't as good. So I went back to my prompt engineering notes and also went to look at the things that OpenAI are reporting and telling us now when it comes to prompting with ChatGPT-5, and I realized I needed to make some amendments to that. So let me show you on the right-hand side. I've applied some of the things that OpenAI suggest, and I've created a improved version. And I'm going to pull it up on the screen. We're going to see what results it gives. But these are some of the things that OpenAI are specifically telling us. Firstly, let's make it more structured. Let's have headings to break it up. And in particular, we should certainly have specify what is the role and the objective. So I've put that very clearly here. There's a heading for role and objective using Markdown as a heading style 1, and it says you are tasked with cleaning up and formatting a provided video transcript, improving readability and professionalism while preserving the original meaning and word choice. Then OpenAI tell us that it's a great idea to then give it a high-level checklist of what it needs to do. So in this case, it says, begin with a concise checklist of your approach before substantive editing. So get it to think through the approach it's going to take with this task in advance. And so in this case, it's to clarify the formatting requirements with the user, review the full transcript for context and flow, apply cleaning and formatting tasks per user guidance, edit for clarity and consistency while preserving meaning, and then a final proofread before delivery. So we've got a high-level checklist that we want the model to follow. Then it also goes on to specify that it's really good practice to set things out step by step and have a stepped approach with a longer task. And so in this particular case, it's then saying that we should ask the user to get some clarity first. Before we dive into doing the tidying up of this transcription, let's ask if we need things like timestamps. Are there different speakers? If it's an interview, do we want to identify the speaker? So it's going to get some clarity from the user as part of the prompt. Then it's got the specific steps, and I've asked for a 10-step process, but this was the heart of my previous prompt, and it was a bit long-winded. And one of the things that following the OpenAI guidance is we want to have real clarity and specificity. So it's suggesting that in this particular case, our steps are very, very simple to the point, which we've got here. So we've done that. Then what we've got, as we break this up, you'll see perhaps it says post-action validation. So this is based on one of these things that OpenAI are telling us about ChatGPT 5. It says, after editing and formatting, perform a final self-review to confirm that all user requirements are met, content is faithful to the original, and formatting is consistent. If any instruction cannot be followed due to missing or ambiguous information, stop and clarify with the user before proceeding. So that was something I mentioned earlier, that they say specifically, get it to include a self-reflection process, get it to think about what it's done, and it'll come up with a better result. Then we've got output format, where another section, what is the format we want? I'm asking it for a clean transcript in Markdown. Then we've got this verbosity. We can specify this in our prompts if you want to have control over that. So I've got be concise and clear, focusing on readability. And then we've got some stop conditions here. Submit the revised transcript only when all instructions, including user-specific formatting, are satisfied and the result has been fully proofread for accuracy and clarity. So we're telling it it cannot complete the task. It shouldn't stop until it's gone through those 10 steps, all the things that I want it to do with the transcription, and make sure it's done it correctly. And then at the very end, we've just got a placeholder where the user can just copy and paste the transcription. So let's see that in action. So I'm just going to go into ChatGPT 5 right now, and I'm just going to put it on auto. And what I'm going to do is let's go across here. So this is, I'm going to grab this prompt. I've put it into my prompt library. If you are not familiar with this prompt library, it's a software tool that I created full of hundreds of prompts specifically written for accounting firm owners and any business owner to get better results. So I have this one called Transcription Cleanup, which I have now just revamped it based on the guidance that OpenAI give us for using ChatGPT 5. And I'm going to copy the markdown of that to the clipboard, and I'm going to go across to my ChatGPT. So I have my prompt, and I'm going to do Control-V just to paste it in here. So we've already gone through this. We have the role objective. We have this little checklist. We have then the instructions, getting it to clarify with the user. Then we have the 10 things that we want it to confirm with our transcription. Have the ers and ums, for example. And then we have the post-action validation. That's to make sure it thinks through if it's fully done everything it was asked to do, and so on. So all I need to do is I just need to grab a transcription. And I have one already. It's from one of my a video I have on the Value Pricing Academy YouTube channel. It's a video, this happens to be a video I did a little while ago where I talk about some of the key things that bookkeepers or anyone doing bookkeeping should build into their pricing. It's called Unlock Better Bookkeeping Prices. So I've just got the transcription of that and I'm going to put that in there. Control V. Let's do that and let's run this prompt. So it's off and it's going to confirm as it was instructed to do. And so what I'm going to do is answer these 6 questions. I think it's 6. Yep, let me answer these questions. And to save you watching me type, I'm just going to pause this for a second and just answer these 6 questions. Okay, so I've said I don't want timestamps. It's just me as the speaker. I don't want to have a speaker identification. It's based on YouTube video and I want short paragraphs. I should have put the number 6 there just for clarity, and no additional notes. And that's because this prompt can be used for meeting notes, notes of interviews and so on. So let's just have a look at this, and it's clarifying what it's going to do here. And here's my transcription. And if I look at this, on the right, you can't see it, but the original transcription, the video started off with, if you're struggling to get the prices you want for bookkeeping and other core accounting services, in this video we're going to look at what are the 5 key value pricing principles to get better prices. And then it goes on to say, get your not paper ready, get ready to take notes. Okay, so obviously the transcription was a little bit messy there. So what does it say here? It says, if you're struggling to get the prices you want for bookkeeping and other core accounting services, let's look at the 5 key value pricing principles. Get your notepad ready. These are practical and we'll go through them fast. So that's cleaned up. What I wanted this to do was to take the original transcription, not change the structure, the words. I just wanted to take out the ers, nums and take out the bits where I sometimes repeat myself or get confused. So the bit that is done here really, really well is I said, if you remember, I said, where was it? Get your not paper ready, get ready to take notes. We're going to go through these 5 principles fast. In here it says, get your notepad ready. These are practical and we'll go through them fast. So much better. And why is this a useful prompt? Because that means every time you do anything, whether it's a meeting with a customer or client, whether it's a team meeting, whether it's a video, whether it's a podcast that you do, anything where you've got a transcription, you could then use a prompt like this, clean it up, clean it all up, and then you've got something that's nicely worded. It's still your words, the original words and so on. It's not changed that, but it's taken out the ers, nums, the repetitions. So this could then be turned into notes to send out to your customer, your client, or you could turn it into a blog post. There are so many use cases once you've tidied up the transcription. So we've looked at, in this video, at a number of practical things. Remember, we need to make sure that if we're using ChatGPT 5, if we're not getting the results we want, it means we have to go back to what we've learned in prompt engineering. The way we structure our prompts is really, really important. Okay, I have a top tip coming up for you, but first, before I do that, if you want to learn more about how to get practical results from ChatGPT, then why not join the AI community? It's my community on school, and there's currently, we've been launched a few months ago, there's 1,000 members in it already, and it's completely free. So if you want to join other people using AI helping each other, then join the community. It's in the link below. If you've enjoyed this video and got some value, of course, please do hit that like button. Please also subscribe and then hit the bell icon to get notifications of new videos. If you want to take things to another level, then you might want to join the AI Academy. And again, I'll put a link below. This is if you want to go to another level. It's for a tiny monthly payment. You get access to a great community. Also, I've done many videos on things like prompt engineering, how to use ChatGPT better, how to get more out of AI. So if you want step-by-step training, if you've enjoyed this video, you'll find deeper training in the AI Academy. Again, I'll put the link below. And so finally, my top tip is this. We've talked a lot about how to build better prompts. The trouble with that is it becomes time-consuming writing prompts sometimes. And sometimes a quick prompt is all we need. But whenever you are doing something which is A, important, or B, something you'll do repeatedly, or even both, important and you repeat it, then it's worth spending the time to craft a better prompt to get a better response. And then if we're going to spend that time crafting a better prompt, like I did with the transcription one, because I'm going to use that regularly, we need to turn it into what I call a prompt template that becomes reusable. So you may have noticed that I wrote that in a particular way where all I have to do with that prompt is copy and paste it into ChatGPT and then just copy the transcription below, run it, and I get my cleaned up transcription super fast. So I call that a prompt template. It's a template that we can just reuse. Think of it as a little mini system. So then what you need to do is, as you start building up your favorite prompts that you reuse, you need to put them somewhere where you can access them easily. And that's where a prompt library comes in. And if you want to get the most out of AI, you need to start building up a prompt library of these mini systems, these little standard prompts that you can copy and paste into ChatGPT or your preferred LLM. So what is a prompt library? Well, essentially, it's just a database. It's a database of prompts, and there are many different sources of storing your prompts. You could use a database like Airtable. You could use Trello boards. You could use Notion. I know many people use Notion for theirs. Or what you could do is build your own. And that's exactly what I did, because I use standard prompts all the time. And so I built my own software and built in specific prompts for my audience as well. And so if you're interested in getting the software that I created to store your prompts, to search for your prompts, then the good news is I've made that as a completely free bonus for members of the AI Academy. So if you join the AI Academy, link below, then you'll get as a bonus the prompt library software with dozens and dozens of ready-to-use prompts, including the one I've showed you in the video today, to cut and paste into your ChatGPT. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for hitting the like button and the subscribe button, and I'll hopefully see you again very soon. Bye for now.